From the moment you take your first breath, you're cradled in a world that seems centered around you. The loving eyes of parents or caretakers meet your gaze with warmth and pride, cherishing your smallest actions as if each was a miracle. Every smile, every giggle, every clumsy step is met with applause. You're introduced to life with the comforting illusion that you are the most important being in the universe. In this early stage of life, your existence feels like the core around which everything revolves. The people in your world, whether parents or guardians, create a protective bubble of unwavering care. They celebrate every milestone, your first word, your first step, building the perception that your presence is monumental. The constant validation you receive lays the foundation for your belief in your own significance. As you grow and enter school, this illusion is reinforced. Teachers, much like your caregivers, guide you with patience, recognize your talents, and nurture your curiosity. Every achievement, no matter how small, is praised. You are led to believe that the world is watching, waiting for your next success, and that your contributions matter deeply. For a time, this environment fosters a comforting certainty. You are important, and your existence is noticed. But as the years pass, the scene changes. As adolescence unfolds, the world begins to feel larger and more indifferent. You realize that outside the circle of loved ones and familiar faces, the universe does not revolve around you. You are not the star on every stage. The realization dawns slowly, perhaps in quiet moments when you're walking through crowded streets or standing alone in a busy public space. You start to notice that the strangers around you don't pause to acknowledge your presence. They're wrapped in their own lives, their own struggles. The world seems indifferent to your journey, your joys, your pain. This realization can feel harsh. The attention you once received fades, and the sense of being special begins to crumble. You may experience a kind of loss, a mourning for the time when your actions seemed to matter more. Now, you're just another face in the crowd, and the world doesn't seem to notice your struggles or triumphs. At first, this can be jarring, even lonely. You may find yourself grappling with the idea that your existence isn't as significant to others as you once believed. The world moves on, indifferent to your efforts, your pain, your victories. The safety of the cocoon you once inhabited is gone. But in this indifference, there is a hidden gift: freedom. As you navigate this new reality, you may come to understand that the absence of constant scrutiny is not a curse, but a blessing. The pressure to perform, to be perfect, slowly fades. The fear of judgment begins to lose its grip. You start to realize that most people, just like you, are too preoccupied with their own lives to obsess over your actions, your choices, or your missteps. The world's indifference is not a sign of your unimportance, but rather an invitation to live freely. Without the weight of constant attention, you are free to explore, to experiment, to stumble, and to grow. You are free to take risks, to make mistakes, and to learn without the burden of feeling like everyone is watching. And as you embrace this freedom, you begin to see that others are not as critical of you as you once imagined. Think about the last time you were in a crowded space. Did you truly analyze the people around you? Or were you, like most, absorbed in your own thoughts? The truth is, we rarely give others more than a passing glance. This understanding can be incredibly liberating. It frees you from the weight of self-consciousness. No longer do you need to worry about the impression you leave with every word or action. You realize that the world is not waiting for you to fail or succeed. It is simply moving forward, and you are free to move with it. In this realization, you find the courage to be yourself. You no longer need to hide behind perfection or fear judgment at every turn. You can live authentically, knowing that the world's gaze is not constantly upon you. The freedom to live for yourself, without the pressure of external validation, is one of life's greatest gifts. So step into this new phase of your journey with confidence. Embrace the quiet, liberating truth that while the world may not be constantly watching, you still matter. Your worth is not defined by the attention of others, but by the life you choose to lead. As you settle into this understanding, a profound shift occurs in the way you approach life. The pressure to conform, to fit within the expectations of others, starts to dissipate. You no longer seek constant approval, or feel the need to meet an imaginary standard that society once seemed to impose on you. Instead, you begin to look inward, exploring your desires, your passions, and what brings you true fulfillment. Without the constant noise of external validation, you gain clarity. What once felt like a need for acknowledgement now transforms into an internal drive for purpose. You begin to set your own goals, no longer fueled by the approval of others, but by the satisfaction of achieving something meaningful to you. In this quiet space, away from the spotlight, you find your authentic self. You also realize that the people who truly matter, those closest to you, are the ones who see you, who know you beyond your accomplishments or failures. They don't celebrate you for what you do, but for who you are. This circle may be smaller than the adoring crowd of your youth, but it is far more genuine. These are the individuals who offer support not because they're obligated, but because they care deeply for you, beyond superficial achievements. And then, there is another realization, one that goes hand in hand with your newfound freedom. You too have been part of this larger tapestry of indifference. For years, you moved through life, focused on your own world, your own challenges, barely noticing the struggles and stories of those around you. Every person you pass, every face you encounter, carries a depth and complexity that, like yours, is often unseen. This awareness fosters empathy. You begin to understand that while the world may seem indifferent, the individuals within it are not devoid of feelings. Just as you faced your own silent battles, so too has everyone else. This realization leads to a deeper connection with those around you, not in a grand, spotlight-driven way, but in small, meaningful interactions. You offer kindness without expectation, understanding that while most people don't notice every detail of your life, a moment of compassion can ripple outward in unexpected ways. Paradoxically, it's through this sense of insignificance in the grand scheme that you find a deeper significance in how you relate to others. Each gesture, no matter how small, begins to carry weight. You understand that you don't need the whole world to see you. Being seen by just one person in a moment of genuine connection can be enough. You start to embrace the power of these fleeting moments. A shared smile with a stranger, a kind word, or an act of generosity might go unnoticed by the world at large, but to the individual involved, it can mean everything. And in that, you find a sense of purpose that's both grounded and profound. With this growing sense of inner freedom, life begins to open up in ways you hadn't anticipated. You're no longer shackled by the fear of judgment or the need for validation. You become bolder, more willing to take risks that align with your passions. Whether it's pursuing a long-held dream, trying something entirely new, or simply expressing yourself without reservation, you discover that the world's indifference grants you the space to live more fully. This is not to say that fear and doubt completely vanish. They linger, as they do for everyone. But they no longer have the power to paralyze you. Instead, they become reminders of your humanity, of the shared experience we all have in this vast, indifferent universe. As you continue on this journey, you start to see that the liberation you've gained isn't just about personal freedom. It's about the freedom to contribute meaningfully. Now, without the burden of seeking constant approval, you find yourself able to give more freely to others. You realize that your worth doesn't need to be proven by accolades or praise. It is inherent in your very existence. This shift in perspective brings about a quiet kind of confidence. Not the flashy, performative confidence of youth, but a deeper, more resilient self-assurance that allows you to weather life's storms. You no longer need the world to affirm your value. You know your worth, and that's enough. This is where true growth begins. You become open to learning, to failing, and to evolving without fear of what others might think. Life becomes less about what you can show to the world and more about how you experience it. You begin to savor the journey itself, rather than constantly focusing on the destination or how your progress is perceived. In this new chapter of life, you discover that the freedom from external scrutiny is a doorway to true fulfillment. You are free to follow paths that resonate with your soul, unburdened by the weight of constant observation. You are free to stumble, to make mistakes, and to learn from them, knowing that these missteps are part of the process, not a reflection of your worth. And in the end, you come to understand that your value isn't determined by the attention of others. It's in the way you live, the way you love, and the way you grow. The world's indifference, far from being a source of despair, becomes the soil in which you plant the seeds of your own unique, beautiful life. So go forth, not seeking the spotlight, but embracing the quiet freedom that comes with knowing that, in the grand scheme of things, no one's watching. And that is where the magic of living truly begins. The journey of perception, from spotlight to freedom. As the journey draws to a close, you stand at a crossroads. The illusions of your past, the belief that the world revolved around you, that every action was under the scrutiny of others, have dissolved. In their place, a new understanding has taken root. You are no longer bound by the weight of expectation or the need for validation. Instead, you are free to live authentically, to be who you truly are without fear. But this freedom, you've come to realize, is not just an escape from the world's gaze. It is an invitation to engage with life more deeply, more meaningfully. Without the constant concern for how you are perceived, you are able to focus on what truly matters: connection, purpose, and the quiet joy of simply being. The indifference you once feared has become your ally. It allows you to take risks, to make mistakes, and to grow without the fear of judgment. In this space of freedom, you discover that life is not about being perfect or being seen, but about experiencing the world on your own terms. You no longer measure your worth by the number of people who notice your efforts, nor do you seek validation in the approval of others. You understand that true fulfillment comes from within, from the choices you make and the values you hold dear. And with this understanding comes a profound sense of peace. In this final chapter of your journey, you embrace the world with open arms, knowing that your worth is not tied to external validation, but to your own inner sense of purpose. You step into the vast, indifferent universe, not as a small, insignificant figure, but as a person who understands that true freedom lies in the acceptance of oneself. The final lesson of this journey is simple, yet powerful. Your life is not a performance for others. It is a path that you walk for yourself, with all its twists and turns, its highs and lows. And in that journey, you find the most important truth of all. You are free to live, to love, to grow, and to be, without the burden of constantly seeking to be seen. So as you move forward, remember this. The world may not be watching, but you are here, and that is enough. Your presence, your actions, and your choices matter, not because they are observed, but because they are yours. In this realization, you find the greatest freedom of all, the freedom to be truly, unapologetically yourself. And that, in the end, is the most beautiful gift life can offer. With this closing reflection, your journey comes full circle, from the illusions of childhood to the liberation of adulthood, where the world's indifference becomes the key to your authentic freedom. Let this realization guide you as you move forward, ready to embrace life in all its complexity and beauty. The end, but only the beginning of a new chapter in your personal growth.